Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Catherine and this is Raspberry Reads. I'm doing my March wrap-up video for you today. This is a little bit late, but better late than never, because I'm filming this towards the end of April. I hope you all had a good Easter if you celebrated, and I hope you're enjoying whatever you're reading this spring. I finished, I think it's 4 books. Let me just check. I finished 4 books in March, and all of them I think were not bad, but kind of unremarkable. And so I'm going to have to refer to Goodreads on my computer screen in front of me to refresh my memory with these books, because while I enjoyed my reading experience of them for the most part, I don't think any of them will really stick with me. That's not to say that I don't recommend them to you. It's just that, if you read, 60 plus books a year, you're not going to remember them all in great detail. So anyways, the first book that I finished, and I believe I have mentioned this book on my channel before, is The Sultan's Wife by Jane Johnson. This is historical fiction. It's set in the 1600s. And it takes place mainly in Morocco, but also in England. And it follows the story of 2 characters. The first is Nusnus, who is an enslaved person who is from Black and from Africa, and is a servant to the Sultan in the Kingdom of Morocco. And then it also follows Alice, and she's an English woman who's captured and then becomes a concubine in the Sultan's, what's the word I'm thinking of? The Sultan's harem. And it was a really interesting story. I think I connected more with the first half of it, where you are introduced first to Nusnus, and his role as he's not an advisor, but he's very close to the Sultan, and how he then meets Alice and basically falls in love with her. And Nusnus ends up going to England in the later part of the book, which was interesting, but I felt that the second part of the book was really trying to force feed notable characters in English history at the time into the book. I can't think of anybody in particular, but I'm thinking maybe like Samuel Pepys. So yeah, notable characters from English history and the Enlightenment, and they pop up a lot in the second half of the book, which I found kind of detracted from the natural pace of the story. So overall, I gave The Sultan's Wife 3 stars. So fine. If you really like historical fiction that's mainly women focused, then you'll probably enjoy this book. I've not read anything else by Jane Johnson, and I don't think I'll really pick up anything else by her anytime soon. It wasn't that good. But the characters were interesting and compelling enough that I did finish the book. So yeah, that's kind of a wishy-washy summary of my thoughts on The Sultan's Wife. But yeah, it was a thoroughly middle-of-the-road book. Pretty good historical fiction. Couldn't really comment on the accuracy of it from the Moroccan perspective. The English perspective, it was fine, but overdone. Okay, and then the second book that I finished in March was Trespasses by Louise Kennedy. And I read this book for my book club. Trespasses is labeled as a romance, and there is romance. Romance is a central part of it, but it's also more so a historical fiction and very detailed look at the Troubles in Northern Ireland, and how it affected sort of everyday lives. And I give it 4 stars. We had a really good conversation about Trespasses during our book club, and talking about, oh, well, how much is it a romance, which it is marketed as, and how much is it more a commentary on the Troubles. And I think I would agree more with the latter. And I think about this book all the time. So I finished it in early March, I think. And yeah, it really plays on my mind quite a lot. And I think it might, even though I give it 4, not 5 stars, I think it might be one of my favorite books of the year so far. So yeah, I would very much recommend reading Trespasses by Louise Kennedy. I think it's her debut book. And it's been made into a series on Channel 4 if you're in the UK, which I haven't seen, but I really got great insight into the Troubles based in the Belfast area, and how that impacted people's lives, especially if they were on sort of different sides of the religious, political, ideological division. So yeah, that was Trespasses. Definitely the best book that I read in March. The third book that I finished, which I listened to as an audiobook, was Music and Silence by Rose Tremain. I read another book by Rose Tremain, which was Restoration. And I did very much enjoy that book, particularly as an audiobook, because it had musical aspects to it, and Music and Silence was similar. So it had some harp music, no, not harp, lute music, which yeah, I really liked it, and it was a good story. It's set in Denmark in the 17th century, and it mainly followed the storyline of a lute player from England, who then goes to Denmark. Beyond that, I didn't really pick up on much of it. So again, I'm going to have to refer to Goodreads. So yeah, it is English lutenist is summoned to Denmark to join King Christian IV's royal orchestra, designated the king's angel because of the purity of his physical beauty. Peter falls helplessly in love with the lovely companion of Queen Christian, the king's adulterous wife. The young musician finds himself dangerously torn between loyalties, ensnared in the deep-seated unrest of a royal court where the forces of good and evil, of harmony and dissonance, are ensconced in a battle to the death. To be completely honest with you, I don't think I got that much out of it. I definitely picked up on the romance element with the queen, and that the queen was an adulterer. Beyond that, it's just sort of like glossed over. This is the thing. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I listen to them while I'm falling asleep. I try and pick audiobooks that are fairly light in content so that if I do drift off, I'm not missing too much. This is one of those ones where I'm sure I did miss some aspects of it, but I don't think it detracted from my overall understanding of the story, that it was about a lutenist from England, went to Denmark. Would I recommend it? Maybe if you really enjoy historical fiction from that time period. The audiobook was well presented. It was entertaining and it was good quality. So from that perspective, I probably would recommend it. I gave it 4 stars as just, solidly good historical fiction, lots of good historical detail in there. This is, again, the second book that I've read by Rose Tremain, and I'm likely to pick up more by her because I think she executes historical fiction very well. So, yep, those are my thoughts on Music and Silence. And then the last book that I finished in March, which I had going for a while, was Starling House by Alix E. Harrow. This is one of those books that has been on my radar for ages. It came out in 2023, and I saw it just pop up a lot. So maybe it was one of those ones that was like a darling of Instagram or whatnot. And it was meant to be kind of gothic, and it's supposed to be a reimagining of Beauty and the Beast, but to be honest, I really didn't get that much out of it. The writing was not great, to be honest. And the ending was bizarre. to the point that I actually ended up giving this book 2 stars. So I would not recommend it, but to give you a summary, so it's set in a small town haunted by secrets that can't stay buried, and the sinister house that sits at the crossroad of it all. Eden, Kentucky is just another dying bad luck town, known only for the legend of E. Starling, the reclusive 19th century author and illustrator who wrote The Underland and disappeared. Before she vanished, Starling House appeared, but everyone agrees it's best to let the uncanny house and its last lonely heir, Arthur Starling, go to rot. Opal knows better than to mess with haunted houses or brooding men, but an unexpected job offer might be a chance to get her and her brother out of Eden. Too quickly, though, Starling House starts to feel dangerously like something she's never had at home. So yeah, Opal and Arthur end up connecting after Opal goes to work there. But then it gets weird, and she goes to like the Underland. So yeah, horror, gothic, fantasy elements that were not well executed. So yeah, overall would not recommend this book. It was too confusing. I just didn't get it. So yeah, as you can see, I had a little bit of a mixed bag throughout March, with 2 3-star books, 1 4-star book, which was Trespasses, and 1 2-star book, which was Starling House. Yeah, so what are my final thoughts? My final thoughts are, I feel like I need to be a little bit more selective in the ebooks that I'm picking up. So The Sultan's Wife was an ebook that I picked up because it was just available. And likewise, Starling House and Music and Silence were audiobooks, and I just picked them up because they were available. And the conclusion that I'm coming to is that even though something's available doesn't necessarily mean that I should dedicate my time to it, because often it ends in a bit of a disappointing reading experience. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on the matter. Do you wait for your loans to come out from the library, wait for weeks and weeks and weeks, or do you just pick whatever's available? And then in terms of what I'm reading now, so I've mentioned this already on my channel, I'm still making my way through Cutting for Stone by Abraham Verghese. I have my book club next week as I'm filming this. I don't think I'm going to finish the book by that point because it's so very long and dense, but I'm enjoying it nonetheless. And other than that, I finally got my loan of Flashlight by, I think it's Susan Choi. It was longlisted for the Booker Prize and I think shortlisted for the Women's Prize. And I waited like 15 weeks for this book or something like that, and I'm an hour through it, and so far I don't know if I'm going to continue on it. So if you have read Flashlight by Susan Choi, do you think that it's worth persevering with that book or not? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And also, I'd love to know what you read in March, and what you're currently reading in April, and what your plans are for May. So with that long and rambly summary, and I'm sorry I'm not as concise as I sometimes can be, it's my head's all over the place today, but those are my thoughts on the books that I read in March, and I'm enjoying, for the most part, what I'm reading in April, and I will be back soon with a new video. Take care, and I hope you're well. Bye!